Hello and welcome. For China Solved, I'm Andrew Hubert, and this is the China Negotiator. So you're a strategic competitor. Part 4, the re-rating. 3 things China had right about America all along. The takeaway for this talk. You have been re-rated, and your new brand will probably need adjusting, unless your brand is sketchy, aggressive, one-off transactor. Trade tensions will likely continue to fizzle and smolder and burst into flame every once in a while, but we already have a pretty good idea of what the new trade reality will look like, and that is a China that continues to do business with the U.S., but is working steadily towards developing its own economic sphere of influence. So you should take steps now to leverage and to manage the evolving international environment. So today let's talk about 3 things that China got right about the U.S. Number 1, man above law is the natural order of things. Number 2, the U.S. is leading a global effort to keep China down. And 3, nations are choosing sides. Regardless of your politics, the situation in the U.S. right now has left many Chinese feeling that they were right all along, because a lot of your stakeholders have decided that you are maybe possibly full of crap, and that's going to undermine your position in negotiation. Issue number 1, rule of man or rule of law? Americans and Europeans have both been pressing China for a very long time to move on from their rule of man approach, which was primitive and corrupt, and accept our rule of law approach, where we had institutions and fail-safe processes, make sure there was never any cheating or corruption or foul doings of any kind. And that started to wear thin in 2008 with the Lehman Brothers financial crash on Wall Street. And the discussion period ended right around the time that Donald Trump said that he and Xi Jinping would have to figure out the details of the trade dispute at a special summit at Mar-a-Lago. So this is a problem for negotiators who want to agree on formal conflict management or dispute resolution processes. The Chinese default position to these contract clauses has always been that the bosses will figure out how to deal with any problems that arise. And it's going to be increasingly difficult to push back against informal dispute resolutions when that seems to be what our governments are doing. Finally, the Chinese have always found your attention to compliance details and QC processes to be cumbersome and expensive and kind of scammy. And you can expect to pay more for that going forward. The second thing that China got right about the U.S. is that there apparently is a conspiracy to restrict the growth of China and to contain its economic power. And for evidence, see Vice President Pence's speech to, I believe it's the Hudson Foundation, October 4th, 2018, where he used the phrase great power competition. And you should get used to this because we are now in a great power competition. You also see evidence of the conspiracy in the U.S. Huawei ban, which has been a mixed success in Europe and emerging markets. And we're getting a lot of pushback on that, and it's looking more and more like it's politically motivated. And that brings up the final point in this section, that we are willing to jumble up military, economic, and trade issues into one big conflict-ridden negotiating package. And this ensures that conflict is going to last for as long as it's useful to one side or the other, which means forever. So you can expect that there to be a permanent level of tension between U.S. and China that wasn't there before. And this leads to the final point, and it might be a biggie for you, which is that the nations around the world are going to be choosing sides. Now, in the past, this has always favored the U.S. because our ambassadors of soft power were Beyonce and Taylor Swift and McDonald's and Disney and Hollywood and the NBA and a lot of great entertainment and great images. And China's soft power has always been awkward and creepy. The difference is that the U.S. seems to be pulling back and shutting our doors, while China has money now. And enough money turns creepy and awkward into charming and idiosyncratic. And I think that might be happening, at least in Africa. Even if you are not the direct recipient of Chinese largesse, people are looking for stable options and a known trade environment. And the U.S. just isn't looking all that stable these days. And China's One Belt, One Road and its investment bank programs are making a lot of noise and racking up headlines, making it seem like Team China is a real thing. I don't know if it is, and time will tell on that, but Team USA is looking very lonely at the moment, and that should be a source of some concern. Final word. Trade tensions between the U.S. and China are part of our business environment right now, and you need a strategy for dealing with your new image as a rogue trader. Leaders who cling to outmoded assumptions and roles are going to undermine themselves in cross-border negotiations. You may not feel more aggressive or competitive or unreliable, but a lot of people see you that way, and you don't have to just accept it, but you need a plan for rebranding and managing your image in this new environment. Thanks very much. I'll speak to you again soon.